Godzilla and King Kong are gearing up for their next big screen joint venture, and they're setting up to have a number of intense fights. The Monster King and the Ape Titan are not just going to engage in battle this time, but they're set to fight a huge array of monsters, both individually and combined. One such monster set to make its debut live-action appearance in Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire is Tiamat. The Serpent Titan Tiamat is no stranger to the fans of the legendary comics from the Monsterverse, making her appearance in Godzilla Dominion. But she is long overdue for an introduction to fans of the films, so our prayers have been answered by the makers, and we feel responsible for making sure you're caught up on the Tiamat lore. Marvelous Videos brings you the next presentation in the GXK series, featuring everything you need to know about the kaiju Tiamat. So sit back and relax, and we'll jump right into it. But before we do that, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Tracing the origins of Tiamat. As seen in the 2019 film by Legendary Pictures, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Monarch had constructed a facility to contain a water kaiju in Stone Mountain, Georgia, and designated the location as Outpost 53. When King Ghidorah wins the battle against Godzilla in Isla de Mara and awakens all the dormant kaiju, calling them out to wreak havoc on the planet, he assumes command of the Titan Tiamat. She proceeds to unleash hell on Georgia and causes destruction throughout her path on her way to the Atlantic Ocean. Tiamat is a bioluminescent serpent kaiju that feeds on electricity from the surface land. According to Mesopotamian mythology, Tiamat was a water goddess who embodied the chaos of primordial creation. The Monsterverse kaiju Tiamat resembles the Mesopotamian goddess, being a dragon-like creature who rules the depths of the ocean and is also said to be over 1,000 meters long. The History of Tiamat. After his battle with King Ghidorah and subsequent battles with many other monsters, Godzilla gets exhausted and seeks out an old lair of his. This lair was actually previously usurped by a species of the Titanus Kong, and not just any Kong, the only Kong who was able to kill a member of Titanus Gojira. Godzilla finds the lair but reckons it has changed. He can sense that some other kaiju has taken over the lair and can sense the danger near him. Tiamat suddenly shows herself and siphons Godzilla into the depths of the water. She curls herself around the gigantic body of Godzilla and cuts into his thick hide, causing substantial damage to the King of Monsters. The G-Man, being stronger than her, bites into Tiamat's skull, prompting her to release her grip. She then retaliates by spraying phosphorus ink into the water, blinding Godzilla. Thanks to Godzilla's heat vision, he manages to locate Tiamat, but to no avail, as she wraps herself around him once again and proceeds to take him further into the depths of the ocean, all the while cutting through his hide. Lucky for Big G, the monsters run into an air pocket in the middle of the ocean depths, and wasting no time taking advantage of the situation, Godzilla grabs Tiamat by her neck and tail whips her at a rock formation. He then stomps down repeatedly on Tiamat's head against the rock floor, causing the serpent kaiju to finally submit to the Monster King. Being grateful for the mercy granted to her by the king, Tiamat quickly retreats back into the water and relinquishes control to the former owner of the lair, where Godzilla finds the skull of the previous owner, Kong. The Lethal Power of Tiamat. Exploring the powers and abilities. Tiamat is known not only to have killed a member of the Kong species, but also to have clearly overwhelmed Godzilla in an underwater battle, which so happens to be the Monster King's home turf. Being the most fierce monster who rules the oceans, Tiamat has the powers and abilities that match the package. She feeds on electricity from the surface and harnesses the power in her electrogenic cells. She can then discharge said electricity to boil the ocean water and create massive steam trails. These steam trails are often said to be so massive they can be seen from space. She can also use this ability in the form of hydrokinesis to manipulate water and cause maelstroms and waterspouts that siphon her enemies into the water, even airborne ones. She can release phosphorus ink into the water that blinds her enemies, and she has razor-sharp scales throughout her body that can cut deep gashes into her foes. Additionally, Tiamat is also said to have the ability to mimic the vocalizations of other species, using the vocal folds located in her tendrils. Having been contained in Monarch Outpost 53 in Stone Mountain and being close to humans for an extended period of time, Tiamat is also said to have learned to mimic human voices. Maybe she can't mimic the speech capabilities of a human, but Tiamat can sound almost identical to the haunting echoes of human voices with an ability called Titan Song. Her only known weakness is that she can't be as fierce in a land-based battle as she can underwater. Comparative Might, where Tiamat stands amongst Monsterverse's legendary titans. Bring the fight underwater, and we're pretty confident that Tiamat can hold her own in a battle with any kaiju from the Monsterverse. We did just go through her battle with the G-Man and saw how she overpowered the King of the Monsters on his own turf. If not for that underwater air pocket that turned the tables for Godzilla, he wouldn't have been able to hold his title as Monster King for much longer because the damage inflicted by Tiamat was substantial. But as soon as the monsters hit the ground, Godzilla gains the upper hand over Tiamat. Godzilla finds Tiamat occupying a lair that was previously claimed by a member of the Kong species, indicating that Tiamat had killed a member of the Kong species in order to assume the occupancy of Godzilla's lair. This information is definitely a fine example to demonstrate Tiamat's capabilities in a battle against the mighty Kong, although we do suspect that that battle had to have happened underwater as well. Kong, not even being an amphibious creature like Godzilla, would lose the battle just trying to gasp for breath. But if Kong was put in a ring with Tiamat on the land, the story might be slightly different. Kong is known to have extreme agility that he knows how to utilize to his advantage, besides being the master of close-quarter combat techniques. Thanks to his clever and competent usage of weapons and the environment around him, Tiamat doesn't even stand the slightest chance against the mighty ape titan in a land-based battle. Tiamat's mind-blowing appearances in other forms of media. Tiamat also managed to make an appearance in the most fantastic crossover between the DC Universe and the Monsterverse in the comic book Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong. In issue number 4 of the comic series, Tiamat aims to attack the dome shield protecting Atlantis and easily overpowers the Atlantean forces led by Aquaman and Mera. Aquaman tries to communicate with the sea creature, but fails to penetrate through Tiamat's rage and assumes authority. Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and the Flash join in the fight as an aid to Aquaman, and Tiamat proceeds to attack the Justice League by discharging phosphorus ink from her mouth and lightning bolts from her eyes. Green Lantern forms a shield to protect the group from the Serpent Kaiju's vicious attacks, but Tiamat's might is no match for him. Finally, Big G joins the fight and immediately disarms Tiamat with his atomic breath. Aquaman rushes to release the Kraken, which happens to be Atlantis' last line of defense, and turns the battle into a 3-way match. The story continues in issue number 5 when Godzilla knocks Tiamat out of the way and engages with the Kraken, when Green Lantern takes hold of Tiamat in a giant net. This scuffle between Godzilla and the Kraken pushes against Green Lantern's net, and Tiamat breaks free. Flash reacts by thinking on his feet, as he so often does, and grabs the attention of Tiamat in an attempt to draw the Serpent Kaiju away from Atlantis. He succeeds, and Tiamat takes the bait. Marvelous verdict! With Godzilla, King of the Monsters, teasing yet another Monsterverse kaiju coming to life for its live-action adaptation, the excitement for Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire has reached its peak. With the opportunity to realize the bioluminescent serpent kaiju using modern animation technology, the makers have set a high bar for the upcoming battles our heroes will face, and we're here for it. We can't wait for the release of the film and to experience the extravagant battle sequences. And also, we get to see if they maybe match up to the substantial hype. Make sure to stay tuned to Marvelous Videos for more coverage on Godzilla, Kong, and the entire Monsterverse monster gang. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, stay safe out there,